Welcome to my plot in East Sussex and to my allotment UK. What have I been doing this week? And I've got to tell you, not a lot. My plan is to do 2 hours a day. I've only just done 2 hours in the whole week. There's been no improvement at all in the weather. The wool compost arrived in the post, which I unpacked, and I took it to the allotment. Sorted out the comparisons that I'm going to measure it against, and that is some ordinary compost, the compost that I normally use, which is called the professional compost. There's some coir, and I'm also trying the pellets, the coir pellets. Conditions on site were not good at all. There were 3 other plot holders down there as well when I took the compost down, and that just made the path to the allotment more dangerous, and especially one of them had been unloading horse manure, barrowing it down. The barrow had churned up the path. I decided to wait until the weather improves, which it hasn't. You can see now, a week later from Storm Dennis, we've still got a storm, and I haven't a clue what to call this storm or whether it's worth calling a storm, so I'm picking Elvira. I had lots of comments last week, particularly on the weather, the flooding, and a lot of people liked what I had to say about the Calder Valley. So I thought for this week, that's what I would talk. I would talk about the Calder Valley. It's a beautiful place to visit. Last Sunday morning there was a programme on television called Yorkshire Walks, episode 2, and that was about Calder Valley, and I've taped it. It's on iPlayer. If you wish to watch it, I could recommend it. It's well worth having a look at. The name Calder is an ancient Britain name. It's Celtic, which is similar to Gaelic. There's place names in Scotland as well as England that are called Calder. The word Calder is an old Gaelic or Celtic word used by the ancient Britons, and it means rough water, and it's certainly a rough water. Not as dangerous as the Wharf. The Wharf has claimed, I believe, 4 times as many people as what the Calder has, but I think with the Calder being wider and it's obviously that it's deep and rough, people don't actually go in it, while the Wharf is very deceptive. The ancient Brits used to use the Calder Valley as their access through the Pennines, say Halifax. I don't know what Halifax was called in them days, but let's say they would probably start at Halifax and work their way through to Manchester. And the Romans did the same, though they didn't build a Roman road. There's traces of Romans in the area, mainly because of the lead mines, but the main Roman road ran from York to Manchester. It went by Ilkley and through the air gap, but that's another story. But the most interesting thing I want to tell you about the Calder Valley is the buildings. While at building college we had a lecturer who was writing a book on the Industrial Revolution, and he was looking for the change between cottage weaving through to the huge factories that ended up in this area, and that starts at Heptonstall. And at Heptonstall you'll see that there are 2 stories. Common folk in those days usually lived in single-storey dwellings, but the weavers, they were in 2-storey dwellings, and they had the looms up above on the top floor, and they lived and slept on the ground floor. And the streets were wider. If you remember, in Middle Ages they had narrower streets, but you'll see here in Heptonstall they had wider streets, and that's because the weavers' houses were built facing southeast, and it was allowed the sunshine. It wasn't barred by any building in front or cast any shadow onto the upper windows where the looms were, because the weavers, they required maximum light. But there's other reasons why the weavers lived high up and rather than down in the valley, and that was because there was wood up there and there was stone, and they could build the looms without from local source timber, and there was also springs. There's plenty of springs on the moors. And then we had the fields, and they were all south facing fields, and they were called tenter fields, and that's where we get the expression on tenter hooks. Well, I hope you found that smidgen of information interesting. As I've said before, with all that rain, it's a bit difficult on trying to find what to do for things on the plot, and I've sort of been looking for a sign. No, not that kind of sign. This kind of sign. I thought I would make a sign to go onto the gate. I'd finished the gate, and I just thought that if I put a sign on the front, it would give it a bit of character and make it more welcome looking. So the following is me making that sign. I've never done carving with a router before. It's a single-handed process, taking it round, and you've got to go with the flow. And I worked out that the best way of doing it is by bringing the cut towards me, so moving the material around, bring it towards me. But I had a bit of difficulty with the light, and I had to get the light in the right spot as well, and that took some working out and messing around. But I made the sign anyway, and I hope you found that interesting as well. It wasn't all plain sailing. As I say, I had to learn how to use it, and I had quite a few goes, which is why this episode has been posted later than what I normally post it. But it's better later than never. On the finished sign, I did count, there's 8 areas where I made some mistakes, but they're minor mistakes, and I don't think they show, and I think I can see them, but anybody that has a first glance at the gate probably won't. It's only after a close look. Who's going to look at a gate on an allotment anyway? That's the end of this week. Please give a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and if you've not already done so, please subscribe. And I've got to say welcome to my new subscribers. There's been 1 or 2, and to get further issues or further uploads, my allotment, please ring that bell. Till next time, take care.